and our next guest is Aurelia Yașanu, technical expert on trade and services at CEFTA. But let's start from the beginning, because sometimes we overlook definitions and concepts, like with values.
We assume that we know certain things in advance.
Yeah, like with liberal values, we assume that everybody will embrace them because they're right or something like that. So let's start with CEFTA. What's CEFTA? And
I think maybe for the viewers also would be interesting because it can be also, misleading, because CEFTA, you let's say the abbreviation says Central European Free Trade Agreement. Well, actually now you have basically the Western Balkans, let's say, forming CEFTA, plus of course Moldova. But the reason why it was called CEFTA, because it had started in the 90s, of course, when they did, let's say, the social bloc, let's say, collapsed, and many of the current EU member states that are already part of EU, like, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and so on, they were kind of thinking, what is also the best way in terms of the economic approach and convergence to EU, that EU said, okay, let's form this, let's say, free trade area where you would actually integrate economically with each other, would create stronger trade ties, would exchange more, goods and services and so on, so that by the time when you join already European Union, you would be kind of ready to be working in this, single market. At that point of time, of course, it was not yet the single market which you know now, but still it was the European economic area where everyone, had to play by the same rules. So the idea of CEFTA was to kind of establish this trade area, free trade area, where everyone would play, let's say, by the same rules. There would be as much as possible less barriers for trade, and where, of course, all the businesses could be able, to export and to import various, products and so on.
In that sense, I think it's very easy for countries, Western Balkan countries and Balkan countries in general, to see the benefit. And it was much easier to join and to be part of CEFTA than, for example, of the EU. Than, for example, the process of EU accession.
Yeah, I mean, it was initially, actually, it started off with bilateral agreements. And then at that point of time, when even the Western Balkans joined CEFTA, at that point of time, Bulgaria and Romania were also still members of CEFTA. So then it was, let's say, a little bigger club of the members. Later on, of course, including Croatia, joined the European Union. So actually, you can see a trend that all who were part of CEFTA later on joined, European Union. So I think this is also probably for everyone in the region. Let's say it should give a kind of a more, positive, thinking that once you are at least part of CEFTA, that kind of additional added value and advantage to later on, join European Union, because you already become more integrated. And what we do in CEFTA, actually, it is actually preparing the let's say, the parties to become EU member states.
So there are sets of criteria, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the reason that basically what the rules we are doing, we do them aligned with the EU, let's say, regulations and directives. So basically, we don't reinvent something new. We already applied the same standards, the same principles that are already applied in the European Union. So if you want, it's a kind of mini, European CEFTA Union, where you use, the same principles of freedom to provide, to provide goods, services, to exchange and so on, to use the same rules which are, applied in the European Union, of course, in a gradual way.
So what lessons do you think we should learn from CEFTA, CEFTA accession, let's say it like that, and transfer them into the EU accession process? Because we see that the EU accession has much bigger challenges than the CEFTA.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, because I would say that CEFTA is a preparatory step towards EU accession. And if you have this also as a criteria, which currently EU, there were discussions in the first panel, you know, about the EU growth plan for the Western Balkans. Actually, there is one, you know, specific indication that they want to see the region much more integrated with each other. So that is one criteria which will, you know, have an impact on the process of accession of, you know, the Western Balkans. So if you do that within CEFTA, if they see this cooperation and this convergence within CEFTA, then this will facilitate, let's say, at least on the economic criteria side, you know, the accession towards the European Union.
In terms of EU enlargement, won't they see this as another delay and some more criteria and and make bigger skeptics out of the EU enlargement on the EU enlargement process?
I mean, you know, like they say, it takes, let's say, two to tango. So the homework should be done from the side, you know, of, let's say, of those who are in the process of accession, you know, the Western Balkans, if we are talking specifically right now today. And also, of course, from the EU side in terms of, how to say, to give those benefits which would also motivate, you know, the Western Balkans to continue the accession process as soon as possible. I think it also depends on the leadership of, you know, of the countries, how strongly motivated and how strongly, you know, committed they are to continue this process of accession. Of course, nobody said it's going to be easy, and we know that the more, you know, member states are there, the more the struggle you have to let's say, to exceed, because there are much more requirements, more member states who put their own, let's say, you know, conditions and so on for the new ones who want to be part of the EU.
There are more skeptics also within CEFTA. Are there skeptics or no?
I would say those who do not know the, let's say, the work or the realities within, they might think, you know, that there is no progress. And indeed, I think in terms of the decision making, there is room for improvement, again, from the parts, you know, of those who are the higher level decision makers. I think there they should show more commitment towards, you know, what actually needs to be done, because at the technical level I think we have very good work and progress ongoing, but at the decision making level I think there should be much more, you know, things that require improvement, and I think that's in the hands of everyone, you know, in the governments and the, you know, the Western Balkans, and those who, you know, are, let's say, entitled to take those decisions. So I think that's, but those who actually see the benefits, I think there are many, you know, businesses and companies and so on, and even, you know, people who do see the benefits, and if those decisions are taken, I think everyone will understand that, you know, this is for the better. This is something which brings added value to the region.
What and for the end, what effect did the new relations between Europe, the US, Great Britain, and United Kingdom, China, Russia, all these movements in geopolitics, some people call it the New World, creating of a New World Order, had on the CEFTA agreement and the CEFTA countries? Did it make it, did it open new opportunities, or is it a challenge, or
I would say challenges also, because of course EU has been let's say trying to negotiate, let's say, new conditions with the US, and even on the bilateral level, you know, some CEFTA parties, they also had certain struggles to deal with those high tariffs which US has imposed, but they also saw the, let's say, the positive that, you know, at the regional level and stronger cooperation regional, but also with the EU, so that you know, you make best of it from what you have in these markets, you know, and probably think of reinventing your policies and somehow relying on your own, let's say, forces, rather than relying on, you know, on somebody else, knowing that how volatile the, you know, the external environment can be, especially now.
So like any challenge, ultimately it can make us stronger.
Yes. Yeah. Whatever doesn't kill us make us stronger, like they say.
Aurelia, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.